What's up, y'all? We back with another Garage Talks episode. I'm doing a post fight. What is it? Post or is it pre? It's post. Post fight recap. Gervonta Tank Davis, Lamont Roach. Real quick, appreciate everybody, all the new followers and listeners. If you like the podcast, you like the boxing, you like the real conversations, you know what I'm saying? Add us, subscribe to us, share us, comment. Let us know how you feel. Let us know your comments, man. We need it all. We appreciate it all. But yeah, man, I recorded this, y'all, 3 times. 3 times I recorded this, and I just had some audio and camera issues. So this is my third time recording this, y'all. This is my third time talking about this damn fight. So I'm gonna try to elaborate on everything still, say everything that I said the first time, but it's gonna be a little hard because I've said it 3 times. I kind of don't want to talk about the fight no more. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna go through it. So you know what I mean? We'll go right to the first fight. The first fight was we'll go right to the main event. The main event was the Gervonta Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach. And I mean, I felt like Roach won all in all. I mean, I just put it out there. Roach took that fight. Uh I wouldn't necessarily say he's better than Tank to me still personally. I won't say he's better than Tank, but I will say that he was the better man that night. You know what I mean? Tank was a little off his game. We've seen better Tanks, even against opponents who's giving him work. You know what I mean? He looked way better against Frank Martin. He looked way better against Cruz. You know what I mean? And Cruz took him to 12. So not to like try to give him a reason to what's wrong or you know what I mean, but he looked a little off, man. But that's the thing about boxing, and that's the beautiful thing about boxing. What makes you a champion? I heard Danny Garcia on an interview. He said, you know, that's the difference between champions is that even on your bad night, you still get the W. You know what I mean? No matter what, on Floyd, good nights or bad nights, he gonna get that win. You know what I mean? So it just wasn't the best night for Tank, and it happens like that. But Lamont came, he came to win. You know what I mean? He went, he took his training camp serious. He took it, he had faith in himself, and I felt like he won the fight. They gave it a draw because I mean it's boxing, it's politics. How you know? And to give credit to boxing, you do gotta necessarily take the you gotta take the belts. Not saying that Roach didn't have an excellent fight. He had a great fight. I don't think there was really anything much he could have done. He had a great fight. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, you kind of got to take it. You probably had to throw more punches a little bit more, but I think Roach had a great game plan, and I felt like Tank just didn't do what I thought he was gonna do, what I expected him and his team to do, which was to go in his bag and understand that Roach just wasn't the type of fighter that he's used to fighting now. And he had to go back in his old bag. You know what I mean? Find them old boxing tools. And I feel like he ain't try to use it. And once he did, it was too late in the fight. And he just was rusty. He didn't have his rhythm and Roach was on it. But I say that to say, you know what I mean? You watch Tank fight, you already know he's gonna lose the first couple 6 rounds, not because he ain't a good fighter, but because all he doing is calculating. You know what I mean? All he doing is baiting you into a lot of stuff. He know that you're gonna be nervous because of the fight. You're gonna be nervous because of the crowd. Because you fighting Tank, and you gonna try to knock him out. You're gonna try to let your punches go. You're gonna overextend your punches. You're gonna show your openings, and he's not gonna calculate. He's not gonna do anything with them right away. He gonna learn them, see what your combinations is, see when do you overextend, when do you push too far, and then later on in the fight, once it's 6, 7, 8 rounds, and you gassed out and you tired, that's when he allows you to run into his power punch. He knocks you out. You know what I mean? So I feel like Lamont Roach just did a great job, him and his team, at making sure they don't do that. You know what I mean? You don't allow the moment to to be bigger than you at that time. You know what I mean? He came in the first 6 rounds. He stayed composed. He stayed in the middle of the ring. Tank tried to do a lot of running and moving and baiting him in, and he didn't fall for it. And then once he got 6, 7, 8 rounds, Lamont let his hands go. And I personally feel like Tank could have let his hands go better. I've seen him let his hands go better. I've seen better combinations. I've seen him being on rhythm, all that. He was doing what he tried to get people to do the most, which is throw his hands too far. You know what I mean? He's getting caught staring at his punches, which is what he typically do to his opponents. You know what I mean? So it's just that he was just rusty with that type of fight, and Lamont was sharp, so he had the better fight. But I feel like they fight again. I don't think they're gonna fight again, but they might have to, and Tank might do it. And if they do a rematch, I think Tank gonna win the way that I predicted the first time. It didn't happen the first time, but I think he's gonna do it, and that is winning with a body shot, eighth, ninth round. Because, like I said in my first prediction, Roach, he's not on Tank level, but he's not as low as the Frank Martins in him. So I don't think the stage is gonna ever be too big for Lamont to overextend and get caught with something that he don't see coming. So I don't see Lamont getting knocked out. You know what I mean? He's not gonna get knocked out. He a good fighter. He got a solid chin, and he there. But I think Tank open going his bag and show his skills that he haven't had to show us before in the pros. He's shown us in the amateurs a little bit. He's shown us, what I mean, when he spar a little bit. If you ever catch any of his sparring, but people around him know that he has a lot of tools in his bag. He just don't have to use them as much, and he's got so good at being like the Mike Tyson of this era. You know what I mean? Whereas like y'all won belts. Mike Tyson is the youngest heavyweight champion in the world. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, you won belts and you recognize for the belts, but you really recognize for entertainment. You recognize for finding that button and pressing it. But once you don't find that button, it's like you haven't used your skills in so long. You gotta get back in your bag now. So I feel like he gonna get back in his bag. That was the point of going Barry Hunter and going with the heavier guy on the mitts to let your hands go. That's what I was thinking. So he didn't do it this fight. I think the second fight he gonna come out harder. He gonna finish Lamont like 9th, 10th round with a body shot somewhere that's gonna make Lamont take a knee, or the ref might have to stop the fight. But I think it's gonna be something like that. I think he's gonna have to turn it up for real, and he's gonna show. He's gonna replicate that Terrence Crawford Errol Spence fight. He's gonna show that his levels again. Um, but that's what I think about the fight. And then let's just jump onto the controversy real quick too. What is the knee? He took that knee. All in all, I mean, I'm going to say I feel like that's supposed to be a 10-8. You took a knee. It's an 8 count. I understand. I ain't gonna lie too. I understand. He probably didn't get hit with nothing that hurt it. I know that he like hit you with a jab. He took the knee, but I don't think the jab necessarily hurt it. I think that you really did have some in your eye. But the dog and who you was and understand it was levels, you wasn't worried about him. So you was gonna fight. But once you got hit with a jab, hit with a couple punches, you was like, nah, Lamont might hit me with something and hurt me if I don't play it. So you took a knee because you wanted to get that wiped off. I believe all that. That's still a 10-8 count. Just looking at the history, Floyd Mayweather fought, I can't think of the guy's name, but a Hispanic guy, and Floyd broke his hand punching him. And when he broke his hand, he had to, he put his hands on the canvas so he can get a break because he broke his hand, and they called it a 10-8 count still. You know what I mean? So I just feel like if you're gonna give Floyd a 8 count when he broke his hand punching somebody, then you gotta get a Tank a 8 count from him getting punched and him taking the knee. You know what I mean? You can't. So 10-8 count, Lamont won for sure, for sure. But let's get into the second fight. The co-main to me was dope. It was Rayo versus Gary Russell, and I feel like there was a go. I personally thought that was gonna be a great matchup, man. And that fight to me was kind of like the Errol and Crawford, not as in what it looked like, but just as far as like you thinking it was a good matchup, 50-50, until they get in the ring and see that somebody has done their work and been in camp and took it to the next level, showing that they was above. And I think Gary did that, what I mean, from the jump. I always knew he had a great, he was great condition. I already knew he had a great output. Um, but Rayo is good at dealing with that. He just won against what's my guy name? Against Cruz. He just beat Cruz. And so I feel like that was gonna be a great matchup. But Gary came in, let his hands go, was fast from the jump to the end. But that's something he always do. But what he did differently for me was that he didn't get wild. He stayed controlled. He worked off the jab. He changed his rhythms up a lot. You know what I mean? And he did what he had to do, which is what he always do to win. So I just felt like he looked it amazing. Rayo did his. Rayo had great moments though, but I just felt like I don't know. That was Gary Knight. That was all Gary Russell for me. Let's see who was next after Gary. after that Gary fight, I think it was or before that, J Rock. J Rock lost to that young guy, to Les, right? I didn't do my homework on the young guy. I didn't know the young guy was from he was a Cuban. He was with he's over there in training camp with David Morrell, with Ronnie Shields. You know what I mean? So he was built for that moment. I ain't do my research on that. Once I realized that, and I was looking, listening to the corner, watching the fight, I'm like, oh yeah, he ready for this. You know what I mean? So he did what he needed to do. I thought he had a great fight. He fought against somebody who wasn't finna go down. Like I said in my post fight, in my pre fight, J Rock just wasn't finna go. You know what I mean? But he hit him with a bunch of good uppercuts. He hit him with a bunch of good hard punches. But he stayed composed, stayed in the middle, fought. Fought the young man fight. Hats off to J Rock. I don't know where he's gonna go after this. I feel like he should kind of retire. It's kind of at that end. It's at that moment. So retirement sounds about that time. I'll stop. But yeah, I think J Rock should retire. Um, J Rock had a great fight though. Yeah, I think J Rock had a great fight. Hey, no, what are you doing? I'm touching nothing up there. I think J Rock had a great fight though. He did his thing. When Coach Breadman was telling him, like you're doing good. It's a close fight. I think the reason he was doing that is because he understands his fighter, and J Rock was gonna go in there and put everything on the line if he had to. And Breadman didn't want him to do that. He wanted him to stick to the plan. He wanted him to, let his hands go when he needed to, and then he needed to you got it, Chunky. Take it. He needed to let his hands go whenever he needed to, move on his, stay on this, and his fit on his moving, and don't get hit. J Rock is good moving. He's good in the inside too, though. That's how he beat Hurt. That's how he had a lot of great entertaining fights. But I will just that at that fight specifically, I think him standing in the pocket trying to fight close range wasn't the best for him. And Breadman was giving him the best advice by telling him it's a good fight, you're doing good, stay moving, stay letting your hands go. Because every time he didn't let his hands go, and every time he wasn't moving his feet, man, he was getting hit with uppercuts and hooks, and it was just looking ugly to me. Like that young guy was hitting him, and he was on target. Damn, what you trying to do? This? Hmm. But yeah, that was that's where I'm at with that fight. The fight after that or before that was the Puello and Martin fight. Sandor Martin. I felt like Sandor Martin got robbed. But at the same time, I also felt like maybe he didn't. Maybe Alberto did what he needed to do to win. It's just not entertaining. It's just boring and it's ugly to me personally. No disrespect to him and his hard work, but to me, in my eyes, if I was the judge, I would have gave it to Frank Martin. I mean, not Frank Martin. I would have gave it to Sandor Martin. Sandor Martin to me just had the harder punches. Um, he looked more relaxed. He looked more calm. He looked like he was taking control of the fight. Um, you got crusty lips, boy. But I think that Sandor Martin really won. But I understand how Alberto could win. I see how Alberto let his hands go. He lets his hands go a lot. I guess I can kind of say he dictated the pace. I feel like Martin maybe was waiting on counterpunching a little too much. But yeah, so I think Martin won, but I'm not mad at I guess Alberto winning. But I want to see somebody else go in there, man, and get Alberto out of there. If somebody stop this dude, because I feel like he's just great at getting the points, at doing what's needed every round, what you have to do to get the win. But yeah, Uh what's the my last fight I'm gonna talk about is my guy retired. What's my guy name? Jared Hurd. Jared Hurd just retired. This is his last fight. He said if he lose, he was gonna retire, and he did. Um, I think he did what I kind of figured he was gonna do. Come out strong, be a big body. But it's a heavier weight class, heavier punches, and he was using his face and his body, to block a lot of punches like he usually do. So I think he stood what he needed to stand on and did what he needed to do. But you know, yeah, retirement seems the best thing for him to do at that moment. Uh, I got Baby Dre going crazy down here, so I think that's really all I got right now. Yeah, J Rock retiring. I mean, not J Rock, my fault. Her retiring. Uh, yeah. Let me know how y'all feel about the fights. Let me know what y'all seen. Anything that y'all see that I didn't see or I didn't say. Uh, if you like the podcast, if you like everything that's going on, man, subscribe, add us, comment, talk to us. We love to talk back. Let us know any ideas you got. But that's all I got, y'all. Peace.